Welcome to our series finale of Post-Roe, The Next Battle. Over the past episodes, we've traced the post-Roe landscape, hearing about fierce battles in state legislatures, the violence against pregnancy centers, the attacks on parental rights, and the brave individuals standing in the gap for women and children. We've seen the challenges, but today, we are ending this series with hope. In this finale, you'll hear from two powerful stories that showcase the gains for life in this new era. First, we'll sit down with Tim and Pat Von Dohlen, the visionaries behind the St. John Paul II Life Center and Vitae Clinic in Austin, Texas. Leaders who, even after surviving a near-fatal car accident, have doubled down on their mission to expand life-saving care. And then, you'll meet Ashley, an adoptive mom whose son Jacob is alive today because of the Dobbs decision. These testimonies remind us that Dobbs wasn't just a court case. It was a turning point where lives are truly being saved. This is Exposed, Abortion in America, and you're listening to our series finale, Beyond Roe, The Lives Saved, The Work Ahead.
So it's a delight, Emily, to be with you. And I'm Timothy Donald Von Dohlen, Sr.
And I'm Patricia Von Dohlen. My name is Pat.
Well, thank you, Mr. Tim and Miss Pat. This entire series of this podcast has focused on what kind of landscape we're in now, post-Roe and post-Dobbs decision. So since the Dobbs decision, the work of serving women and families has only grown more urgent. And y'all have both stepped into that need in a very powerful way through the John Paul II Life Center and your clinic. So I'm curious, from your perspective, why is this post-Roe v. Wade moment not a time to step back, but actually a time to expand and invest even more deeply in life-affirming care?
Well, we're very fortunate to live in Texas, which is such a strong pro-life state. We have seen now up to nearly 90 women come in since the Dobbs decision. And whereas Texas is a non-abortion state, we have had all of these women were very open to the possibility of abortion and abortion vulnerable because of the abortion pill and the temptation given them by so-called friends that were providing the tablets or coming in through the mail or whatever that mechanism might be to get it to them, because Texas has actually outlawed that. But it is there, and so we have had to come up with a solution in every one of those circumstances to help a woman if it was something that she might have lost her job, or she didn't have transportation any longer to get to work, or she was about to lose her housing. Whatever the problem was, we've been able to come up with a solution. And I think that really has been one of the most amazing things. The stories that we hear from these women, who, by the way, all 90 of those have chosen life.
And the testament to the numbers of 90 women, you said, since the removal of Roe coming in and choosing life, I mean, that's a testament to the important work that's happening right now, the current events that are taking place.
Well, when you think about what those children may do in their life, it's wonderful.
Can you just share a little bit about the John Paul II Center, the Vitae Clinic, and then the education? So that's the three different parts that you guys are covering.
We start with the John Paul II Life Center. When an individual comes in, they of course give certain basic information, and then they're placed with a client advocate. And that client advocate becomes like part of their family. And they stay with them during this entire 3-year period. Some of them become friends for life. But that client advocate really helps them along their way and throughout their journey of their pregnancy. And so that's when somebody doesn't have complications of any nature, and they can come in and they can have their own physician, or if they don't have a physician, then they can choose to use one of our physicians with the Vitae Clinic. but they'll first see that physician at the time of the sonogram. And so we have full-time sonographers that would conduct the sonogram itself, and then the doctor that reviews it. And then they have a decision to make if they are going to use their own doctor or if they're going to choose a doctor for going forward from the Vitae clinic. And so, as I say, the main thing is that client advocate is then assigned to each individual. And so we have multiple client advocates then work with these people and their families, really. And we give educational programs during the time of the pregnancy that is a part of the Texas Pregnancy Care Network system, where we can receive enough funds from that program to cover the cost of the education presenter. But they can bring not only their significant other, but their own family members to be educated as well on what they're facing in the pregnancy, how to set up their home, how to do a whole series of different things in these educational courses that are very valuable. And so that all happens during the 9-month pregnancy period and up to 2 years thereafter for a total of 3 years. So that's kind of what we have on the JP2 side. And so there's an area of the center itself, just the JP2 center, and then adjoining it is the Vitae clinic. And the Vitae clinic is a full OB-GYN practice with 2 full-time OB-GYNs, a nurse practitioner, 8 medical assistants, and an RN. And we also have a phlebotomist on staff that does the draw bloods and the very preliminary lab tests that need to be done. And then anything more complicated goes out to the lab and then comes back for the individual. And so we have 8 patient rooms, and we have 2 full 3D, 4D, very high quality resonating sonograms, so that an individual, if they have a difficult pregnancy, we have the medical equipment that actually shows them what they need to be able to see for that more complicated pregnancy. And these, the staff is there to serve their needs throughout the pregnancy. And then as long as they remain patients of the Vitae clinic. And so that's the way the Vitae clinic is set up. And then our educational programs, we have primarily, we work with the Sophia Institute, and we are now in over 500 schools across America. And then our specific program is called A Glimpse Inside, and it is 4 short videos totaling about 30 minutes that are done by our 2 physicians, and it explains from conception all the way to birth what's happening in the womb of an individual. And so it's both a practical guide and it's also a scientifically accurate measure. And then we are developing a national program for developing what they're calling RRM, or restorative reproductive medicine, also a part of natural procreative technology.
I know that you guys have so many people that are there helping, and that your care model does not discriminate by race, religion, or any kind of status. And so to me, the question for y'all would be, what does it mean for you to serve anyone pregnant with a child under age 3, and you get to provide that hand up to them?
We certainly do, and our individual who leads our way, Linda Ruff, is a trained, skilled, wonderful individual who is a CPA by profession and has assembled a staff of people with great experience. And having those people with years of experience in both medical practice and in social services does so much to make for the overall success of the John Paul II Life Center and the Vitae Clinic. And so we're going to keep trying to find the right people that have this empathy for people who are, in fact, in some of the most dynamic situations they're going to find themselves in their lifetime, and the experiences they have during that time that they're with us really forms their life in many ways for the future. And so some of the witnesses' statements that they will share with us are wonderful to read, and so remarkable that it has expanded their faith and given them hope for their future in life.
I read that you both went through something truly life-altering, a car accident, a severe car accident. Is that right, that you shouldn't have survived?
Well, it was very fortunate that we did, and we were what they call T-boned at about 60 miles an hour, and totaled our car, and of course totaled the car that hit us. And we were, through the grace of God, able to walk away from that without any more damage to our bodies than that.
When the airbags deployed, after they did, we looked at each other and, of course, asked each other if we were okay. There was the most amazing calm. I mean, God was there. And that was a year ago.
Well, that's why I'm bringing it up, because I read that after that you said you really believe that God protected y'all because he still had the work for you guys to do with the center and the clinic and all of the education. So I guess my question on that then is, how did that experience shape your perspective and your drive to keep going?
I think it just made us realize that
we have to keep on.
we don't know how long we're here, and we just have to do the best we can. And as we had decided some years before that whatever we did for the remainder of our life, we were going to do together. And it's really the beautiful opportunity to share that experience together that has that car accident certainly emphasized even more. And so just as long as the good Lord lets us keep going, we're going to do it.
I also read since mid-2022 that you've tripled your number of women served. So what key factors, whether economic, legal, spiritual, logistical, do you think have driven this demand?
Well, I think it's the situation we find ourselves in Texas itself, that there's such a vulnerability of women, and of course there is no religious test where in our facility, and we find many of our people who come some are undocumented, some are documented, but many of them are on the very edge of financial situation. They don't know where their next meal in many circumstances is coming from. And so we take them and we give them love and understanding in a way that they don't receive at many other places. And we're blessed to have a great staff, a great medical team, and workers on the JP2 side that our individual in charge of that basically speaks 5 languages. I'm not sure she's found anybody she can't communicate with. But all those things added together, I think, make for the uniqueness and the versatility of the John Paul II Life Center and Vitae Clinic.
We have an incredible staff. I mean, you're talking to the two of us, but there are so many people involved in this that make it happen.
Tim, Pat, thank you so much for your expertise. Thank you for just sharing your joy and your wisdom and how you've developed these programs and this critical center and clinic and education needed. And I'm just grateful that y'all came on to share all of this information with us.
Well, Emily, thank you for your time and all the work that SBA Pro-Life America does.
Ashley, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today. We really appreciate your unique experience and what you're going to share with us.
Yeah, I'm excited to be able to share our story, our adoption story, and it's been an amazing journey with our son, and I'm looking forward to sharing some hope and inspiration to maybe some other people that's thinking of adoption and how it's changed our life.
I think a lot of the conversation around what happened with the Dobbs decision and the removal of Roe, it can be framed in legal terms or political terms, but your son's story shows us what's really at stake, and that's lives saved. So, Ashley, can you share how the Dobbs decision quite literally made it possible for your son Jacob to be born and become a part of your family?
Yeah. So a lot of the information that was given to us before we actually adopted our son, our birth mother shared with our adoption agency, and that information was relayed over to us. And the fact that she was 22 weeks pregnant, and at the time when she had went in to go have an abortion, Florida, being the number one state for abortion, had changed their law post-Roe versus Wade to only 15 weeks. And she was unaware of that change for Florida. And so when she went to go have an abortion, they actually turned her away and told her that they couldn't perform the abortion due to the fact that Florida had changed their abortion laws to only up to 15 weeks. And so she had sought out a pregnancy resource center, and she went to CareNet, where she was able to get some hope and inspiration. She was able to see the baby and got an ultrasound, and that gave her some light into considering adoption. And when she decided after the baby was born, she had decided then to go forth with adoption, which has been life-changing, because we're so grateful to her eternally, because she could have gone anywhere. She could have went back to her home state. Because of her decision, you know, our son is alive and well and very much almost a 3-year-old today.
Yeah, I think that is really interesting that she was, you said 22 weeks along. So she's well into the second trimester. She's over 5 months. Wow. I mean, that's really pregnant.
Yeah.
So the fact that she was able to get help at a pregnancy center and understand how far along her son was, I mean, do you think that made all the difference?
I do, and I've become really good friends with the people from CareNet, and I've had friends that volunteer at CareNet, and I believe that these women that go into these pregnancy resource centers, the fact that they are able to provide them with an ultrasound gives these women a different glimmer of hope into saying, you know, there's hope for this child. See the baby physically on the screen, seeing that there's a child in the womb and that there's a heartbeat. And I think it's so precious that CareNet has offer that to abortion-minded women, so that it gives them that hope to say that there's other options besides just abortion.
Yeah, and I think you make a really good point, which is, you know, the Dobbs decision and the removal of Roe v. Wade, and then Florida's 15-week limit stopped her initial attempt at abortion, but she could have gone anywhere. I mean, she could have, like you said, gone back to her home state. So then you've got CareNet and the pregnancy center to educate her on the development of her child and what her options are and any resources that she needs. And then she made a different decision. It's really interesting.
And it's amazing, you know, thank God for that. You know, for pregnancy resource centers, and just, you know, just eternally grateful for her and her decision. And she got to see her son that day for an ultrasound. And I can't say that was the day she made a decision. I know that she made her decision after he was born, but, I have no doubt in my mind that she saw that ultrasound that day and walked out of there saying, you know what, I'm going to give this baby the life that he deserves, even if I'm not in that place to take care of him. So Jacob was, he was at our local hospital here in South Florida, and he was only 10 minutes from our house with traffic. So, just everything that connected the dots was just really crazy, because our agency is, they are like the top agency in the 7 local counties around. And the fact that we didn't have to travel was amazing.
Right. So I know you've described Jacob as very bright, independent, and full of joy. I think, is that him in the background? I think we can hear him.
Yeah, he wants to play with water.
So he sounds bright, independent, and full of joy. So how do you see his personality reflecting the preciousness of life?
He's loving, and he cares so much, and he's so smart. It's been amazing to watch him grow.
As we close out this series, I hope you've seen what I've seen. A movement that refuses to give up, refuses to be silenced, and refuses to let the tragedy of abortion define our country's future. Post-Roe America is not just about laws and politics. It's about people. It's about women finding real choices, children being given a chance to live, and families stepping up to love and support them. While the challenges are still great, today's conversations remind us why we fight and why we hope. Because in the end, life is winning. Thank you for walking through this journey with us. May we carry forward the stories, the resolve, and the vision for a nation where every life is cherished. Thank you for listening to Exposed, Abortion in America, Season 4, Post-Roe, The Next Battle.